Hi everybody, I'm Kathleen Byram, and I'd like to talk to you tonight about one of my favorite dinosaurs, the Stegosaurus, particularly some dinosaur culture. We are now realizing that their social scene was likely much more vibrant than we once thought. For decades, scientists assumed Stegosaurus was solitary because their skeletons were found alone. However, recent technological evidence, the study of fossil footprints, has shifted the narrative. Coordinated movement. Fossilized trackways show multiple individuals of varying ages, juveniles and adults, moving in the same direction at the same pace. This strongly suggests they traveled in social groups or herds, which would have been a significant survival advantage. The safety in numbers strategy. While a fully grown Stegosaurus was a tank, its young were vulnerable. Moving in a group would have provided protection for offspring against apex predators like Allosaurus. Instead of massive migrating herds like some other dinosaurs, many experts now believe Stegosaurus likely lived in smaller, intimate family clusters or loose associations, somewhat similar to the modern rhinoceros or moose. Here's the purpose of the look. The Stegosaurus didn't just walk around. It was a walking billboard. The iconic plates and tail spikes, the Thagomizer, I'll tell you about that in a minute, were likely central to their social interactions. Visual communication. The plates were not just armor. Many paleontologists believe they were highly vascularized, filled with blood vessels, meaning they could potentially flush with color to signal excitement, aggression, or readiness to mate. They likely served as a visual language to communicate with other Stegosaurus. The Thagomizer as a social tool. While the four-spiked tail was a lethal defense weapon, it likely also played a role in dominance displays. Showing off the size and condition of these spikes could have helped individuals establish status within the group without having to resort to physical combat. In a crowded Jurassic environment filled with various herbivore species, the unique silhouette of the Stegosaurus helped them quickly identify their own from a distance. Addressing the low brain power myth. You may have heard the Stegosaurus had a brain the size of a walnut. While their brain-to-body mass ratio was indeed low, we are moving away from equating brain size with intelligence or lack of social capacity. Social behavior often requires very little complex thought in the human sense. Many animals with modest brain sizes exhibit highly sophisticated social rituals. The fact that Stegosaurus could coordinate group movement and use complex visual displays suggests they were perfectly well adapted to the social challenges of their environment. The mixed neighborhood theory. A fascinating emerging theory is that Stegosaurus may not have lived in the Stegosaurus-only groups. Some researchers suggest they likely practiced a mixed neighborhood lifestyle, frequently hanging out near much larger sauropods, long-necked dinosaurs. By staying near these giants, the smaller Stegosaurus could benefit from the many eyes looking out for predators without having to compete with the sauropods for the high-reaching canopy food. Now, I want to tell you about the Thagomizer. I don't know if you recognize that word or not, but it comes from The Far Side. The Thagomizer Origin Story. In 1982, the Far Side cartoonist Gary Larson published a panel depicting a caveman instructor pointing at a picture of a Stegosaurus tail and telling his class, "Now this end is called the Thagomizer, after the late Thag Simmons." It was a total joke. It was meant to be a silly, made-up name for a nonsensical-looking biological weapon. But the scientific community, which is famously full of nerds with a great sense of humor, immediately fell in love with it. It was so perfect, so evocative, and so much better than the spikes on the tail that it essentially became an unofficial scientific term. Today you will frequently hear paleontologists use the word Thagomizer in peer-reviewed lectures, museum exhibits, and research papers. If we were to look at the Thagomizer as a piece of Jurassic hardware, it's essentially the prehistoric equivalent of a four-spiked medieval mace that decided to become a DIY project. What? The Stegosaurus was built for slow-moving, leaf-chomping tranquility. The Thagomizer was its "I'm sorry, what were you saying?" switch. It wasn't designed for delicate precision. It was designed for maximum impact, roughly equivalent to a heavy-duty battering ram with a very bad attitude. While T-Rex had a bite force meant for bone crushing, the Stegosaurus relied on a defense system that was essentially swinging a kitchen table full of swords. It was an unrefined, messy, and incredibly effective deterrent. The social subtlety. Imagine being another dinosaur, trying to have a polite interaction with a Stegosaurus. It is basically the equivalent of talking to a person who constantly swinging a flail around their hips. It's an extremely effective way to set boundaries. Anyway, we're going on 7.5 minutes, so I better get out of here. And first I want to tell you, please comment if you would, and tell me what you thought, or your thoughts about the subject. And like and subscribe if you would, please. It helps me with the algorithm. I'm Kathleen Byram, and I'm the author of Conversations with Donkey, A Bipolar Journey. Thank you for listening. Bye-bye.